What's up, everybody? This is Norfolk CPA. We got another special guest on the channel today. Actually, we've done a couple of interviews together already, so definitely excited to collaborate again. Miss Jacqueline Anderson, CPA, enrolled agent, and we're going to be talking about the journey to being dual certified. What does that mean? That means we're having multiple professional designations. Before we even jump into that, Miss Jacqueline, she does have her own channel, so I did want to drop the little graphics where you can find where she's at. Follow her at JCLPAA. She is the Black CPA lady, and on her channel, she features and highlights the accomplishments and getting to know other Black CPAs. So, without further ado, Miss Anderson, welcome again.
Thank you for having me. This was fantastic. I appreciate you highlighting the channel, but it's great to be with you again. I can't wait to get into this conversation, but again, I want to highlight what you're doing. This is great, and I commend you on being Norfolk CPA and supporting other businesses and accountants out there. But yes, on my channel, I try to spotlight and highlight Black CPAs and aspiring CPAs. I definitely want to mention that too. So if you're already pursuing the CPA designation, I would love to interview you during that process and then have you back. But again, thank you, Mr. Harris, for having me on your platform.
Okay, cool. So for everybody that is watching, so we're gonna jump into not only how you got dual certified, but we're going to talk about a lot of things. We don't have to be so restricted. So first, when I watch your channel, one of the things you always talk about is your license number. So go ahead and give it to us. Where you licensed at? What's your license number?
Get off the wall too, because I swore I was gonna drive around with that in my car for a while because I was just so proud to have it. But my state issued number for the state of Georgia is CPA 032333.
Okay, very good. And when did you get your CPA?
I was officially licensed in July 2014, but it took me many years to get there. But I was actually licensed and got my papers in July 2014.
Very good. And you just recently got your enrolled agent designation. First, congratulations. So being dual certified, why was that important to you? You know, a lot of folks, when they get the CPA, they're like, I have arrived. I don't need to get nothing else.
No, we've taken the hardest, most credentialed exam in the world, research says. So why else did I need something else? Well, several things, but the short story is, let me be clear and concise, is I was doing some tax work and I found a lot of people think because you're a CPA, that means you are a tax accountant. And that is so far from it, because there are some CPAs who don't even do their own taxes, wouldn't touch their own taxes with a 10-foot pole. Like, oh no, that's not. But because people just automatically thought that, something went off in my head one day. Light bulb moment. So if that's what everybody tends to think, why don't I go make this money? Because people would just kept coming to me with their tax problems, their tax issues. And as we know now, tax software, so easy to prepare your taxes now, but so many people, the stigma of preparing taxes is out there, and the IRS is scared everybody silly that they want a professional. And of course, we as CPAs, we are the pinnacle, the highest level professional to do taxes. So I felt I would capitalize and monetize on that. But I realized my own shortcomings. And I will say, because I am a CPA, I recognize that was not my level of expertise. And I had a responsibility to the public to deliver that if I was going to prepare their taxes and operate in that lane. So for my own integrity and to maintain the integrity of the profession, and for those clients or people who were entrusting me in a sense with their livelihood, I felt I needed more credibility and I needed more knowledge and information So of course, being a lifelong learner, that's where I ended up going the enrolled agent route because I wanted to specialize. I decided to specialize in taxation. That's going to be my area of expertise. So that's why I felt it was necessary to become an enrolled agent. One, because I needed that extra layer and level expertise to deliver the value that I wanted to in my accounting firm that I'm building.
Right. Yeah, and that's highly commendable that, hey, you know what? Folks are coming to me, and as of right now, it may not be the strongest suit that I got, but now what I want to do is to maintain my integrity. I'm going to learn. I'm going to take a deep dive and jump right into getting the enrolled agent designation that is specifically focused in taxation. That kudos to you. I love to hear things like that. For
Can
folks,
I add one thing? Because you see, I talk a lot, and that'll help you prepare your next question. But I will say also, I found too, or you will know, having your CPA designation is per state. So sometimes you have to go through these steps of reciprocity or seeing if your license is mobile. And because I do operate in other jurisdictions and other states and where I'm from, people are relying on me. I'm in the state of Georgia. However, I have ties to Texas and even Alabama. So I felt, and again, back to the taxes, the EA will take me across the board, and you have so many people moving overseas. I thought, this is what I need. I don't have to worry about this reciprocity with my CPA license.
right, because the enrolled agent it gives you a federal authorization to represent taxpayers. What was the whole process like of you getting your enrolled agent? Tell the audience what's the steps, what was your path, what was your regimen?
Let me say this. I have to start with this though. If you prepare taxes, there is no reason you're not an enrolled agent. I'm just gonna start with that.
She's calling folks out.
Because one, I taught myself and I stepped into it on my own, and the barrier entry is so low, especially compared to becoming a CPA. I will say that. And you
Listen,
you want to add.
It's like the best kept secret, and I don't know why schools are not focused on getting the students to get a CPA early. I mean, not the CPA, to get the enrolled agent early. In my opinion, I think if you get the enrolled agent, one, it's going to give you better internships, give you opportunities to work in the actual field a lot sooner. And if you still are aspiring to become a CPA, you actually have done a lot of the legwork or passing the tax portion of the CPA, and you have probably developed a study regimen
that will help you
to pass the CPA. It's baffling to me that some of these college institutions are not implementing a focus on enrolled agents. I sit with a accounting advisory committee for a local community college, and one of the things that I'm bringing to the table and initiatives that I am working to do get done there is we're going to refocus part of the curriculum to when folks are getting their associate's degrees that they can actually walk out with their enrolled agent.
Especially exposing students to this or people to this early on in their careers. A lot of people just don't know or don't realize. And I will get back to the initial question, but this made something come to mind. One of my friends, or I know who's a partner at a accounting firm, was talking about how the pass rates are so low in general for the CPA exam, but even in their firm, and just trying to motivate the staff or find out what are some of their barriers. But the accounting firm deals with overseas or people living abroad tax issues. And I was talking about me becoming an EA, and she even thought as a partner, she said, I'm going to take this back to the firm to say, maybe we will start pushing this with our staff versus just CPA. CPA is the only way. So maybe we need to broaden this or give them other options that may eventually lead them to becoming CPAs, but maybe we need to look into enrolled agent making that part of their professional development and going that route, because that's what they do.
Right, right. Because I think I picked I passed all my EA exams in 2012, and then I picked up, did the application, I think the following year in 2013. So what was your,
So
how did you study? How long did it take you to get it?
Yeah, back to your initial question, right? All right. So I started in June of 22 last year. That was the idea. But of course, life throws you curveballs. So that did not, my initial plan was to be done with all 3 parts of that exam by the end of 22, December 22. I wanted to be done based on what I'd heard and what I read about the exams. You could take them in any order, and compared to the CPA exam, it was relatively easy. So I felt my game plan, 6 months, I'm done with this. Lo and behold, and back to also, I want to share, the study materials were about $500 again, compared to some of the other materials for CPA. And then the test exams were about $200 a section. But I felt that was a low investment for the amount you can charge for doing taxes and things you can potentially do. So anyway, I ordered the materials and I was giving myself 6 months, but family member passed away.
You mind sharing who you actually use for your study provider?
What was Fast Forward? Is it Fast Forward Academy? Fast Forward Academy, their test prep materials, which was about $500. I got everything, I think, except the flashcards.
Okay.
So I have the actual book right here. I have the manual. So I the hard copy. I needed this. So, but you do get the electronic version. I will say, for them, endorsing them, free advertisement. They have, of course, their electronic version of study materials, but it syncs across all devices. So you could be on your phone studying or going through your quizzes, and it would sync up if you just logged in on your computer. I like that aspect of it. You could stop and start in between wherever you were, it would sync. So that was very helpful. But I would say back to, I thought I was going to take the first exam in August, but a family member passed away, and I was traveling back and forth to Texas trying to settle that estate. So we're still in the process of doing that. So curveballs do happen, but you have to stay focused. So then I buckled down once we got over that initial hump of planning the funeral, trying to get things settled. I thought October, I'm ready, because my goal was to be done by tax season of this year, 23, January. I was like, I gotta get done. Another opportunity came. Friend called me, hey, there's a consulting gig. You want it?
Wow.
Oh, it's paying such and such. You want it? And you can do it remote, do it whenever in the middle of the night, because I stay up around the clock. I had just scheduled the exam that day because I knew it was a month out, but I knew I'm about to buckle down. Things have settled down, so I'm going to refocus. And I started out with the individual section because that was what I was most familiar with. But again, I
think EA Part 3, the third one, is probably, I think that's probably the least rigorous.
You think so? Okay, you maybe so, but I will say I'd heard too an individual, because that's where most people have the most experience.
Have their experience. Yeah, absolutely.
1040 is the individual side, which I would say for me that was the case, because those are the type of taxes I've been doing in my own. So I started with that, but the point I was going to make, I want people to know you have to regroup. Sometimes things do happen, but stay focused on the target, your main goal. So even though that came up, I took advantage of that opportunity, and I thought, okay, let me figure out how I can make this work. So I rescheduled the exam. I took a loss with the, I think, $40 rescheduling fee, but I figured there was not enough time to be prepared. So I pushed the exam back.
Oh, you didn't just do it?
What'd you say?
You didn't just take the exam. Some people just call that a very paid practice.
That's very expensive, right?
Right.
I'm an accountant, but sometimes I can be very frugal, or you think the cost benefit. I just knew I wasn't ready. So I pushed it back, and I looked at how much it cost. It may not have been 40, it may have been 25 when I looked at it. I said, oh, I can reschedule versus cancel or going in here and not being prepared. But anyway, things happen, holidays. I went in that first exam, I didn't even pass. Individual, the one I thought I was most familiar with. And
Okay.
for the EA exam, passing score is considered over 105.
105. Yeah, 105.
I got a 101.
Oh, you were right there. That was
I was
just
like,
you missed one.
oh,
You missed one multiple choice question. That's what
right.
that
Since
was.
it's rated, right, it may have not necessarily been 4 questions, but obviously I was right there. But tax season was right around the corner. I knew I would not have the time. But I was close, but I was off my schedule of thinking I would have all 3 of them done and completed. I was somewhat discouraged, but again, you have to think long term. Have to know, I will get through this. And because of the pandemic, they had extended how long you can take to pass all 3 sections. I think it's up to 3 years now. So I figured, okay. So I went in January, I passed it. But of course, tax season about to take off for 2023. So I had to push everything out. So I didn't finish and then didn't get back to the next section until June of this year, 2023. After tax season was done, I took them out of order because, to your point, the representation, that section, the tax law part was considered not as rigorous, not as hard.
Right.
So I figured, okay, let me do something, build my confidence, or knock off this section. So because I do have the book, you can see that section was probably not even. This is how small this is. It was not even a third of the book.
So that's the whole book for all parts.
For all parts.
Oh, okay. Because the provider that I use, they just have a separate book for each one.
Right. So with that being said, this is all the material it is. One big, especially if you study CPA exam, to know that you got one book. So I jumped into it. I passed that one in June. I was like, great. But I will say I double dabble in business taxes now. So I said, I'm gonna push that off to be my last section, even though that's part 2 of this EA exam. So you have individual business, and then most people finish up with the representation. But I did 1, 3, and then 2. So I came back and finished.
I think that's a good order. I would say either do 1, 3, and 2, or do 3, 1, 2.
Yeah, that's where. So like I said,
or if you just want to get the monkey off your back, go ahead and do 2 first.
Oh yeah, that if you can. But I will say, if you work in tax, the exam is not that hard. Right. And I know that can be relative across, depending on your learning style. But if you have any experience in tax, and back to what I said initially, there is no reason you are not an enrolled agent, because it doesn't require even a college degree. So you don't have to go sit through all these courses and classes. And
listen, you calling some of the professionals out, saying if you are in taxes, there's no reason you shouldn't have a EA. Whoop.
And because it puts you on the level as an attorney or CPA in regards to representing your clients with the IRS, you are on the same level, and probably start being paid.
Right.
So
no, I got different friends who have their enrolled agent designations, and they do quite well. They're quite knowledgeable. So, and again, I think I call it the best kept secret, because it's in my opinion, it's the quickest way to get into the door, get the skill set, get the education that's needed, and have a credible designation. It doesn't require a bachelor's degree. Be 18, turn in your tax returns, learn the material, pass the exams. Now
you are on your way to financial independence. Oh my goodness. And again, you are viewed on the level in the tax world as a CPA or an attorney. I do understand that there's somewhat cachet with being an attorney or CPA, but again, those of us who are CPAs, I understand. So I respect EAs. I give you utmost respect.
Right. Absolutely. And again, and we're not saying don't get your CPA, especially if you haven't got either one yet. I think get your EA first. And, and it's only going to help you. It's only going to make getting the CPA a little easier. So
it will prep you for that exam, or that entire process.
Right. Now check this out.
What's
I
that?
have found a university. This is mind blowing because I am studying all sorts of alternate ways of getting educated, getting credentialed, and getting to where you want to go. Because I think there's a lot of roadblocks and there's a lot of gatekeeping or just things that are preventing us from moving how we need to move within the education system and even in certain curriculums. But there is a university that will allow you to get your master's in taxation, and you don't even have to have a bachelor's degree. Their minimum requirement is if you have experience, at least, I want to say, don't quote me, at least 30 credits and an enrolled agent designation, you can get into their program.
So does that mean you come out with dual degree where you would have a bachelor's or
Nope, you won't have a bachelor's. You will have
a master's degree in their program?
yeah. You know what? Because
That's interesting.
I want to give out the information. We're gonna do a field trip. You mind if we do a field trip?
Let's go because we want to be accurate and present the facts so folks know, right? So take your time.
Let's
That's good.
you know, they ought to give me a shout out. So this university right here, I looked at taft.edu, their programs.
Okay.
Let's look at Master of Science in Taxation. So you come to my channel. I'm gonna give you some good content and some good nuggets, folks.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Let's look.
$1,000.
Admission requirements. Again, this is Master of Science in Taxation, your MST. Admission requirements: bachelor's degree or enrolled agent with bachelor's.
Partial bachelor's. So as long as, like you said, back to you have some college credit.
Right. So let's see if we can get the exact verbiage. I'm gonna go to their catalog real quick. Find admission. Okay. Admission policies and requirements. Let's see if I can. And it's showing up on the screen, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. An individual not qualifying as a regular applicant may apply as a special applicant. Special applicants are evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but must have an academic background equivalent to a bachelor's degree earned in the United States. Certified enrolled agents who have 30 credits of general education may qualify for the program without a bachelor's degree.
Okay. So what is it, about a year of college?
Yeah, 30 credits would be your first year of college, experience, enrolled agent. Now just bypass the bachelor's degree and let's get the master's in taxation.
Well, that's great. Some university, somebody recognized that there is a gap and want to make this opportunity available.
It seems like this is a more practical, way to getting what you need. While we're here, and we won't stay here too long, we can just jump at, with some of their courses. They got tax research, federal income tax aspects of organizing and operating corporation partnerships, IRS practice and procedures, which you learn in EA Part 3, directed tax research, of classes, income taxation of estates and trusts, tax fraud and evasion, taxation of S corps, tax organization. So I mean, they got taxation of executive compensation, RA plans and distributions, estate taxation and planning, taxation of real estate.
Seems like I need to be taking these classes.
Yeah. So hey, if you sign up, tell them Norfolk CPA sent you. I'm trying to do a deal with them. Maybe they give you a kickback or something. But I just thought it was, things like that we got to share and let people know. I'm actually going to write a book related to alternate education paths, because I think it's so much bureaucracy and some of the things that's going on. But in your story, you were talking about, you had to take some time off to deal with an estate. So do you actually do anything related to estate taxes at this point, or do you have a aspiration to do that?
Aspirations. So the only experience I have with my own, and that's how I got exposed to it and learned about it. I was doing some notary work for an estate attorney and learned, because I do have a real estate portfolio. We were talking about revocable trust, irrevocable trust, and what does that look like in regards to estate planning, bypassing the probate process. So the experience I have is just with my own life and what I need to do, because thinking I'm a young person, but yet preparing for the inevitable or down the road. And plus just trying to get your finances in order, and being a CPA and living up to the expectations that all my finances, or I would have all my ducks in a row when it comes to my finances.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with that. So I'm learning, but again, too, that's a service I would like to offer. But I will say, in the Black community, because that is where I live, that's the space I'm in, we typically don't have an estate, or not what you consider something to pass on any heir. It may be just the home, or if you have a surviving spouse, that may be the extent of it. But not having a portfolio of different investments, that's usually where we are. But I want us to get to that point where we do. So estate planning would be a part of.
So that's a part of your future, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me wrap that up. I know I was getting
okay. So are you going to law school? No, I mean, you seem like an overachiever. You got your CPA, and then you're like, well, you know what? Everybody in a profession that's doing taxes, you shouldn't just stop there. You need to get your enrolled agent. So you don't want to got your enrolled agent because that's what you believe. You're telling me that you want to work in the state. So I'm just thinking next logical profession for this overachieving young lady.
Yeah.
Law school?
If it was a perfect world and I had all the money in the world, yes, I would be in law school right now. So, but yeah, I do have aspirations of going to law school. I was thinking I do want to be a tax attorney, because I'm gonna show you can do it all, have it all, and be all. So don't limit yourself. Do not limit yourself. I thought that would be pretty cool to be a CPA, tax attorney, and enrolled agent.
Well, I got some information I could share with you.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, I told you I've been doing a lot of research. So first, where did you go to school at? Your undergrad?
I would say I piecemeal my education. That is another thing. I feel like I am you, you are me, or you do not have to have it all mapped out from the very beginning and still be successful. I am from a small rural area in Northeast Texas. So our college options are limited when I say community, unlike you, Norfolk CPA, where you can go to school right there where you grow up, go to college. You would actually have to go off to school. Or in my case, we had a lot of 2-year colleges, what we call them junior colleges. Back in my day. So we had plenty of those, and then you fed into the local one nearby branch of the University of Texas, UT Tyler, but that was still an hour away from my hometown. So again, I piecemealed my educational career path. I started out at Tyler Junior College.
Okay. And
when I was in high school, I really thought I was going to be a housewife and just hang out with my high school sweetheart and just live life in my local community. But life and God had other plans. So anyway, I did end up going to junior college. That was the extent of what I was going to do. I said, oh, I'll major in business, just stay here. But once I got to college and realized the investment in time, I figured, you know what, if I'm going to obtain, and it was just a 2-year degree, associate's degree, I'm going to have to move though. There was no opportunity in the area I'm from, and I had no guidance. Love my parents, but they only knew what they knew.
Right.
And so I had to figure this out on my own. But once I got to junior college, to feed into that local UT branch, University of Texas at Tyler, not the main one in Austin, but of course, there were only 5 options to major in from the business aspect. And back then it was either accounting, finance, general management. I think e-commerce was the big thing coming online at that point. So I figured, because I am an overachiever, or if you tell me what's out there, I'm a checkbox type of person. It was like, oh, if you complete this 2-year degree, you automatically are accepted into nearby UT Tyler, and you're halfway to a bachelor's degree. I'm like, oh, again, no guidance. I didn't know. It's like, okay. So, but I did take my first accounting class, and the lady said, everything you know about accounting is the complete opposite. A debit and a credit are opposite of what
Listen, I tell my students that all the time. I'm saying, whatever you think you know about debits and credits related to your bank account, related to your credit card statement, throw that out the window. Just throw it out the window. Don't apply it here. We're going to do it the way I teach you how to do it. And then later in the course, I might tell them the why is because, and the why is just simply they're doing it from their side of the books.
Right. Which I came to find out years later, but I'm telling that story to say that's when I knew accounting was not for me. I was like, oh no, ma'am. No, that's okay. But little did I know I would circle back and have to teach myself that years later. So
right.
That being said, I went into finance. I thought, oh, I'll work at a bank or stock market some kind of way because I'm gonna move to New York City. So I ended up finishing my bachelor's degree with major in finance, but again, had no clue about accounting. I was not on the accounting track whatsoever.
Wait a minute. So at one point in your life, you're like, you know what, accounting isn't for me. And I want everybody that's looking at this, especially the young folks, this is somebody who said accounting isn't for me, and she has hit the upper echelon, the top pinnacles of the credentials. I mean, we're talking about CPA, enrolled agent, and we're seeing if she's about to go to law school and become the tax attorney. You doing big things.
And I just want you to know, but I will say again, it's about exposure and opportunities. And I want others to have that. Because had I known what I know now, I think about where would I be. But again, I guess that just wasn't my journey. But the potential 20 years prior to where I am, because I'm in my 40s now, and now I'm talking about going to law school, had I done this, if I was.
I would not have guessed that you were in your 40s.
I am.
I thought I was like significantly just older, way older than you. Like, what is this young lady? Maybe she in her mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s.
Nowadays. But yeah.
Right. Don't crack.
And then too, I will say I had my daughter when I was 20 years old. So as I was going through this was an example to her on how you have to persevere and you got to grind. But now she sees, because she's 24 and a teacher, and she's seeing the payoff now years later, the benefits of plugging in, or as you say, that mamba mentality. I didn't have a word for it then.
Mamba mentality.
Having some goals. So I kept, because I had her my junior year, my first year in the UT, but I kept pushing because I'm a checkbox type of person. I got to finish my degree. I would take her to class with me. She was accepted because I had her in the middle of the school year, middle of the semester. So I took her to class with me. So we graduated a year early. I got through with my degree 3 years. I did a year and a half at the junior college, and a year and a half I got through the last part of my bachelor's degree. So I graduated within 3 years. So we were off to the races. We moved because I knew my only option was making maybe $15,000 right there. And I had a bachelor's degree in finance. I'm like, what? I got to go.
Listen, you know what? I'm into speaking things to existence. We should start a tax law firm. I'm going to use the Damon John phrase, for us, by us.
Okay, boo-boo. Okay.
You down?
Yeah, let's explore that. Okay, I'm gonna jump back to this.
We explored it right now.
But I'm saying how to bring it into fruition, because
go to law school, get your.
Well, I gotta tell you, the issue is I had accumulated. I gotta get back to that answer. But I had accumulated over $40,000 in pursuing my master's, because I decided to pursue my master's when I met this girl. Once I moved, she introduced herself. We were at some networking after hours. She had graduated college with a dual degree. She graduated in 4 years. I think it's right, close to 5, but she had a bachelor's and master's when she was 22. Again, I didn't even know that that was an option back then. I'm thinking I could have done that had I known. She went through college and came out with her master's degree right there at the same time. So that's when I was like, oh, let me go get my MBA, because then too you're here in the bachelor's.
You have your MBA?
Yes.
Oh,
So
you holding out stuff on us. Why didn't you tell me you had your MBA? Why are you holding? Oh, this lady is brilliant, and she's just holding back.
I will say that's not my personality. I don't lead with that. If you happen to find out about what I do as my credentials or what I do, you find out. But I don't lead. Well, my name's Jacqueline. I'm a CPA. You would never know it, right? You never know things about
outside me. Of seeing JCLP, you know.
Unless you put it together, right? Unless you know.
Yeah. It is kind of like, what's that?
What does that mean? But
you got to crack the code.
Right. Then that's something else, another reason, kind of going flying below the radar, kind of, sort of, in a sense. But back to,
where'd you get your MBA from?
Oh, actually, I went to DeVry University.
Okay, very good, very good. Was that online? Did you take online courses to do that?
No, I was in person here in Metro Atlanta, and I found out. And again, I will say I'm not the typical student. I struggle with standardized tests, so my GMAT scores were trash. Actually, I will say I was denied admission to Georgia State. Wow. I didn't get into their master's program. They have a pretty.
Did you have your CPA at that point or no?
Oh, okay. I'm in my 40s. I didn't know anything about a CPA. I didn't even know a Black CPA. I didn't even know CPAs. So we haven't even gotten to that, how I ended up on the CPA track. That's a story in and of itself too.
Okay.
So we can get it. So I'm long-winded on how you say I got there. I just want to let people know I piecemeal my career path, and you can still be successful if you stay focused. Because I worked in government, so I had a steady paycheck, and then too I had a daughter. Even though we have a great support system, safety net, that's great. But at the same time, I knew she was my responsibility. So I needed steady income. So I never jumped out there in corporate America. I stayed with my little safe government job, but it allowed me to continue to go to school. So I went and pursued my master's. But during that time, I accumulated $40,000 of debt.
Okay.
Student loan debt. So back to the question about becoming a tax attorney. I refused to incur more debt. I got it paid down to about $3,000 for the pandemic. So they've essentially gone away. But I will say I should have been eligible for student loan forgiveness anyway. So I think they finally just said, okay, we'll let that go, the $3,000. So I got that off my plate. So I just refused to incur more debt.
What if I told you, this is like the Matrix, blue pill, red pill. What if I told you there was a way to go to law school and you didn't have to incur $100,000 in debt, $200,000 in debt?
LSAT, because I hear some schools are even.
What if I told you there's a way to go to law school? Listen, I took my LSAT, right? And I applied to lawsuit. I'm being very transparent. I'm very humble and confident at the same time. I'm humble enough to say my LSAT score was not that high. And some law schools did reject me when I applied. But because I have found alternate ways of getting things done. And it's crazy that they rejected me. So I got all these damn fancy, I said damn. I got all these darn fancy accounting certifications, CPA, like designations that's hard to get. And y'all worried about the LSAT? This
on your name.
Stupid. Anyways, I'm gonna have a whole talk about that. But in the state of California, they are more flexible as it relates to their law school, the admission requirements and what you got to do. And so there are a lot of schools in California that you don't necessarily have to have a LSAT score. And you can go to law school.
Sounds like the Kim Kardashian route.
Right. She's definitely going that. But so the schools are approved by the California State Bar. Right? And so what you can do, they have even online schools. So you can go to these online schools. You go for 4 years. you get your Juris Doctorate degree, then you can sit for the bar in California, and then you're a licensed attorney in California. Then the next question is, well, what if I want to be licensed somewhere else? You know,
Right.
I'm in Atlanta, I'm in Georgia, or like myself, I'm in Virginia. Every state has their different rules of whether it's reciprocity or what you have to do. For example, in the state of Virginia, if you went, so these California schools, these aren't the schools that are licensed by the ABA, the American Bar Association. So these are non-ABA schools. But like in the state of Virginia, I can speak Virginia because I know their rules. If you're licensed in another state, so let's say we go this route, law school California, online law school California, pass the California bar. Virginia says if you want to sit for their bar exam, you have to, one, be licensed in another state. Two, you have to go get your legal master degree, your LLM, from an ABA accredited school. And there's a lot, it's like 8 courses, usually 24 credit hours, 8 courses. Then you can sit for their exam. And there's plenty of states that have that similar pathway. So if you wanted to practice in that pathway, but I mean, for what you want to do, assuming tax attorney, you already got the federal authorization via the EA, so I think you'd be good anyways. But
yeah, that's true with that aspect of it.
So I think I'm going to go. I got accepted, and the tuition is less for all 4 years is less than $20,000, and they got monthly payment plan. You're paying it's super affordable. Just trust me.
Okay.
So if we want to talk offline, I got a couple of my other friends going, and I'm like, look, I'm just trying to I'm putting the information out there because this is one of those things. I think sometimes there are systems or barriers in place that doesn't make opportunities accessible to everybody, or roadblocks that makes it harder for the folks in the community to get things done. And I respect the whole the reason of the LSAT, but sometimes there's people that maybe they didn't do great on the LSAT, but these are great candidates like yourself. There's no reason, if you want to be a tax attorney, there's no reason you shouldn't be a tax attorney. It shouldn't be a LSAT preventing you. It shouldn't be that you have to pay $150,000, $200,000 to go to law school that prevents you from doing that.
But I think that's just intentional. But I will say, research bears out and shows your performance on some admission test or the LSAT is not a predictor of your success. It already bears that out and has shown it. So it's good to hear about that program you're talking about. And even some law schools are waiving the LSAT requirement, or it doesn't weigh as heavily on admission as it did in years past.
Yeah, I heard. I think I read a article somewhere where I'm thinking that the American Bar Association is revisiting. Will they still require that, in the upcoming years? I think it's still some years away from that. And then some law schools will actually, there's another, I can't think of what the other exam is. It might be the GRE. Okay. But there's some other alternative outside of the LSAT that the ABA schools will look at as well. So anyways, I'm just sharing.
Well, thank you. I got something to follow up on. We have another conversation, and then we can have another.
No, so I'm challenging you to go to.
I just don't know if I got enough room on my plate, but I will finish with this about you talking about how I got here or my educational background. I wanted to piece together. So, and it was like an AA degree. Then I went to my bachelor's, and then I went to my master's, and how different situations or events led to each one of those. I didn't have a clear-cut plan. That's what I want to emphasize. I didn't know that, or up front, and you don't have to have it all figured out. And I had a little baby that I was was pulling along too, that was tagging along with me all the way. And then, of course, and the bride, don't get me wrong, it may not be your UGA or flagship institution, but it opened the door. It was the gateway to the CPA once I tell that story. But because DeVry owns Becker, and because we know Becker is the supreme.
I didn't know that DeVry owns Becker.
Yeah, now.
Oh, wow.
And they have this big relationship or a great relationship with Becker and those prep.
So they should be pumping out CPAs like nothing then.
Well, they probably are, and I will say their degree program, it was in sync, or they offered some in combination with if you were prepping for the CPA exam. And because I had gone through the MBA program, if I was not seeking a degree, I could take all the prep courses for like $120. I could sit in a sense, like audit the classes.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't tell how I ended up there, but I just think all things work together for good to them. The Lord has been called according to his purpose. And that, looking back, I see how that worked out by me going to the bride, that opened the door to becoming a CPA eventually. But I will say that was in 2004, I got my master's. So my neighbor, who was a teacher, decided she was leaving the classroom, and she always wanted to be a CPA or go be an accountant. That's when she was telling me about a CPA. I had no idea. Like, really?
Wow.
Why you want to do that? But she knew I had gone to DeVry and knew they had this alumni rate. She was like, why don't you take some classes with me? So that's how I ended up taking accounting classes, because my neighbor didn't want to go in there by herself. She was one of those type of people can't do things alone. She can't go out to eat by herself.
Right.
She was that type. We all have those type.
Did she get her CPA?
Isn't that interesting? She fell off because we know how hard it is.
Right.
But I am of the mindset, once I start something, I got to complete it. I got to finish it, come hell or high water. So again, checklist. I was like, I'm in this now. And because
that sounds like the Mamba mentality right there too.
I didn't realize. So that's how I ended up becoming a CPA, because of my neighbor.
Wow.
That's true. And I tell that story again because you don't have to have it all mapped out. And then too, for those who are in the accounting field, you work in accounting day in and day out. You aspire to be a controller, the CFO. You want to be at the top. You can do it. There's no reason you shouldn't have the credential behind your name, especially when you have the experience and you do the work. Don't just settle for being a staff accountant or an assistant controller.
Okay, so what should we get if we have to choose one or the other, or if we have to choose what we're going to do first? Should we get an MBA? Should we get a CPA? We can only get one.
Oh, if you go out the gate, CPA. But now, because of the requirements, 150-hour credit requirement in most states now, I think just about all states, that's equivalent to a master's degree. So to me,
so you might as well just go ahead and
get your master's degree and make sure you're certified on extra 30 hours to go ahead and sit for the CPA exam. But to me, there's no reason you shouldn't have your master's degree at this point. Take those other few classes to satisfy your degree requirement and become a CPA. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so in your opinion, let's say you want to become a CPA. We know we got the 150 credit hour curriculum based on what you know now, not what you knew then, but based on what you know now. Should we get an MBA? Should we get a master's of science in accounting? Should we get a master's of taxation? Should we get a master's in finance? Should we get something else? What do you
I would say this would be my advice to give you a well-rounded approach and foundation. I would say the MBA, you cannot go wrong in any sector, private, government, entrepreneur. So I would say that master's degree versus taxation, because you will get the taxation experience if you work in taxes, and then you can wrap up with the enrolled agent. So I would not necessarily get a master's in taxation. I would do an MBA, knowing what I know. But unless you know that that's going to be your field, that's going to be your wheelhouse, taxes in and out. But
okay. So if you know taxes is going to be your in and out, then possibly go that route. But if you want to be well-rounded, keep your options open.
Government, private and doing your own thing. Because that was what I thought about, because I have a master's degree in business, but I concentrated in public administration. So you got the nonprofits, but I work in government. So I figured I hit all
So
three.
you studied nonprofits. Do you do anything related, any taxes related to nonprofits?
Lo and behold, 10 years later, now with my CPA, I am in a sense operating as a controller for a nonprofit on a contractual basis.
Oh, wow. So do you do their 990?
I did. I do now. I do. I will say there was some legal and tax issues. That's how I got brought in. Oh, I cleaned up her books many yeyears ago. And then, of course, she knows I'm a CPA, and she got a letter from the IRS, and she was like, and here we go.
Okay. And for everybody that's watching, when I say, do you do their 990, that's basically the tax form that a nonprofit has to submit.
And she was late. When I say she, okay, she was late with the 990 during the pandemic. So now we're in the process of abating all those penalties because she got hit with a letter for $10,500 for a 990.
Okay, you just got all sorts of experience. You got government experience, nonprofit accounting, and financial management behind you. You picked up the tax expertise.
And then with public sector, working in government, and then the
public administration. So
and doing my own thing, because I had a snow cone stand or food truck for a while. So the entrepreneur aspect is that business side now.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and again, this I'm not as versed. So is the public administration, is that more does that equate to government? Okay.
Yes, that's why I said, yeah, that's more government side. Yeah, and it too your nonprofit.
Okay.
But mainly most people think of MPA, Masters of Public Administration, more so you in the government or educational field.
Okay.
But I didn't do the MPA. I found out you could get a master's degree public administration that concentrates in nonprofit. So that's what I did. And then got a certificate with HR management.
Okay. So where do you see your career going forward? Or matter of fact, what's the outlook for the next 3 years for you?
Next 3 years, I would actually like to retire from my job because I've been on my job 22 years, but I don't have the years. So I would be retiring too early to draw retirement, but I would like to be in a position where I can walk away from my actual job and be a restaurateur and manage my real estate portfolio. And if you said 3 years, be out of law school by then. And
wow.
be a fledgling attorney, embarking on a new career. Because like I said, my daughter's grown. She has her own life and career. So now I can start the second phase of my life.
Okay, so 3 years, retired, focusing on your real estate career, touring. Did you say you were going to be an attorney?
Hopefully by that 3-year law school, right? So hopefully I will have passed the bar.
3 years. 3 years if you go to an ABA accredited law school and go full time.
Okay.
And most law programs are about anywhere from 85 to 90 credit hours. If you go the online route, let's say the online California accredited school route, then those programs are 4 years of study, which at a minimum you need, 80 credit hours, anywhere between 80 to 90 some credit hours.
Okay, well, I might be short of that, but yeah, so 3 years from now, yeah.
But either way, you move.
Yeah, I should be cruising. I should almost be on cruise control because my goal is to be on cruise control by age 50.
What type of clients are you looking for at this point? Who do you help? Who do you like to help?
Oh, I like nonprofits. That's what churches and nonprofits. That's who I feel. I would do that stuff for free.
Do you do audits?
No, I don't do audits.
Okay, no audits.
Because
I need someone that I can pass some referrals to. A lot of folks will ask me, do they do audits, even like the nonprofits and even the churches? So that's not nothing you
Right.
You
In my understanding, and the reason I say no, in my understanding, Georgia, you have to be peer reviewed. You have to go through some extra.
Yeah, most jurisdictions
firm.
got to be peer reviewed, and sometimes they think it's based on. Don't quote me, so all you super experts about the peer review system, I don't look into it because I don't do audits, but I do think if it's either a certain threshold of quantity or dollar amount that might trigger what it
Okay.
is, or even if, but
This
yeah, there is a peer review component to it.
Right, so that's why I haven't gone that route. There's something when I looked into it, I didn't meet some requirement with my
Okay.
consider my firm, so that's why I don't officially do audits.
Do you set nonprofits up
I
for
have,
individuals?
yes, I do. I help going through that process, but typically my typical client is someone who just needs to organize their their books, but then too just their organization structure, just
Okay.
to get everything in order and how they operate the business. So I've come in being an advisor to help people get things in order into their legal documents and things of that nature. But yes, I could help with establishing nonprofit, that paperwork. But I would say most people just don't have, they have great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't walked through the process, and I can help you execute. That's the one. You tell me what you want to do. I can help you execute.
Okay. I want to. You gonna help me execute?
Oh, oh, that's why we've connected. I mean,
All right. So here's what I want to do. I want to just a couple of things. I want to. I got my book coming out in the hip hop industry. I want to execute being known as the face, the CPA face of the hip hop industry. You gonna help me execute that?
yes, we're gonna flesh that out. Yes, I want to see
All
what you
right.
got out there.
All right. So anything else we need to cover, we need to share.
Did I finish? Okay. Oh, well, I will say back to CPA. Yes, I am a CPA, but it took me 4 years. But again, that doesn't have to be your journey, but just know if you stick with it, you can. If you buckle down, you can be a CPA, because if I can do it, anybody can do this. So that I do want to end with that. And because I have passed the hardest, the most difficult credentialed exam in the world, and research shows it out. It's bears this out and says it's harder than the medical boards. It's harder than the bar. There's nothing I can't do. So by being a child of God and coming from the ancestry and lineage of Black folks and passing the CPA exam, y'all better get out the way. So and other
I
people.
like you. I like you. You know, and I say this as a great thing, but you don't seem like the stereotypical CPA. Have people said that to you before?
Say that, yeah, of course. But one, two, I didn't set out to be a CPA, so that's probably why. But why did that come to mind for you?
No, it's your energy. Just I think when people think about CPAs, my stereotypical picture of a CPA, just lack of personality, very stoic, highly intelligent, very stoic, um, reserved, and really kind of boring.
Okay, this in the nutshell, kind of boring.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
kind of
can be all of
boring.
those. I am. My nieces and nephews, my daughter tell me I'm boring all the time. I am so boring.
Yeah,
But that's funny. But yeah, I've gotten there. But then too, I'm more out there, so to speak, now, because I want more of us to step from behind the scenes or not play into that stereotype. Because a lot of us, we do have a lot of personality.
yeah.
And we,
CPAs with personality.
yeah.
Well,
Well, thank you.
you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot of great work with your channel on highlighting the CPAs that come from our community. So that's definitely commendable. I'm glad that when I reached out to you, you were like right on it. Like I think I hit you it was like wee hours in the morning. I think you may have hit me back like 6, 7 o'clock. And I'm like, okay. He's like, well, you got a few minutes to talk. All right, boom. We on it.
And I so appreciate you doing that because of that stereotype that many of us fit into. I will say I've run into that. So of course I've come across more Black CPAs as I've done this, but you wouldn't believe how many people turn me down.
Really?
Especially the older
They
generation.
stuck up. You stuck up CPAs.
Just
That's
more
why ain't nobody joining the profession. Because
right,
y'all don't get out and talk and collaborate with people.
And I was trying to tell them, but they're somewhat stuck in that mindset, and also probably how they were groomed. And as you know, being in the workplace, a lot of times we just want to kind of fly under the radar, don't want to bring too much attention to ourselves. And then too, if you're from that generation too, there's some other things that play into that. And they will just say, no, I applaud what you're doing, but no, I don't.
Really?
They turn me down. And they have so much wisdom, knowledge, and experience they can share with the younger generation how to navigate those waters and how they were able to excel and exceed. I still can't sell them on it. Maybe you can help me with that.
Wow. I feel like that's a whole conversation, a whole separate segment conversation that we could talk about. And how do you sell them? Well, here's my personal mindset, and I'm not saying everyone should have this mindset, but I don't try to sell people who are, just stuck in their ways. I find you can get more done with someone who's ready to move. Just like I've reached out to certain people, and sometimes they might give you the politically correct. They're blowing you off, but they're giving you the politically, well, we'll see about that. Whatever. Move on.
We'll connect. Okay, we'll stay in touch.
but the reality is, you're gonna get further moving with people that want to move. That's why even being you connecting, and it ain't take no time. You're like, yeah, let's do it. Boom. That's what you got to do. And what happens is when you got to be careful about trying to push people who don't want to be pushed, because then they're taking your energy. They're taking your energy. You trying to push them, you're exerting energy to push them. Okay. And so your momentum is going down, as opposed to if you get with somebody who's already on fire and they're like, yeah, I'm with it, let's go. Now your energy is enhanced, it's increased, it's picked up. You're more invigorated, ready to go. So, and I'm not saying that, these folks that don't want to be pushed don't have the wisdom and all things like that, but sometimes it's just not the time. And sometimes you got to make your moves. You got to grow what you're doing. You got to grow your platform, grow your brand, and they will then see, oh wow, she big time. Let me talk to her then. But then, as I quote the great Don Cartagena, aka Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's funny. I know I could talk to you forever. It seems like go on and on and on and on. But I'll say what I was gonna say, because like you said, that could be a whole nother conversation or discussion we can record for the masses to understand that. Because in short, to be clear and concise, I think it comes from a mentality from that you can be seen, not heard, in a sense. And you think you are one of us, or you're an overachiever, we're going to keep you in your place. So I'll just leave it at that, and we can dive into that in another discussion, because it's still prevalent even today. But I think some of us are a little bit more bold, and we understand the world has changed. But that mentality about why some have said no, I think some of that is because of that's part of some of that reason. But we can go into that later.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. We are going to have more conversations. Everybody that tuned in, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. And Miss Anderson, tell them again how they can find you as well.
Find me, hashtag or add me at JCLPAA on all social media platforms. Easy enough. In my YouTube channel, The Black CPA Lady. So thank you again, Mr. Harris, the Norfolk CPA, for having me. And remember who you are, whose you are. There's no time like the present. Get it done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.